Picking your friends is one of the most delicate things that you can do, especially as you get older. When you're younger, it doesn't really matter that much. When you're younger, I mean like when you're like 8 or 10 years old. But once you hit puberty, and certainly when you're in your late teens and early 20s, who your friends are is one of the most important things that you can ever decide on. So pick wisely. Let me explain why. So you have to understand that your friends are who you are going to be. Look at your group of friends, whosoever they may be. The ones that you're close with, the ones that you tell your like intimate secrets to or whatever nonsense, right? You look at those individuals, those men presumably, and you have to understand that those men are who you will become if you're not them already. Because we tend to associate with people like us, and more to the point, we tend to adapt and change and conform and be like the people we are around. If you're with very cool, highly accomplished individuals, it will bring out your competitive streak and you will tend to be cooler, more competitive, more accomplished. But if you're hanging out with losers, you're going to become a loser. That's the trap of your friends. Because they are a trap. You see, when you're young, you don't quite understand this. Because when you're young, again, I'm talking when you're like 5 years old, 10 years old, you're hanging around with other kids because they're fun to play with. That's all you really care about. You run here, you run there, you play ball, you play whatever. And you have a good time with them. And it's just a delightful time in your life. It's the only time in your life when it doesn't really matter who your friends are. But once you hit puberty, once you hit your teenage years, once you hit your 20s, and certainly your 30s and your 40s, who your friends are they are going to define you. Those people you surround yourself with. And more often than not, young guys tend to hang out with idiots. Simple as that, because they're cool. I mean, look, before anything, let me make it really clear. I'm not talking about women here. I'm talking about men friends. Because a man and a woman can never be friends, okay? Anybody who claims otherwise just doesn't know anything about the sexes. Men and women, when they try to be quote-unquote friends, there's always a sexual tension between them, always, no exception. And one of the two people wants the other, and the other is oblivious. This is a story as old as time, okay? So when you say that, you know, you have women friends, no, you don't. Either they want to bang you or you want to bang them, but they're not your friends. Your friends are just people whose company you enjoy, and more importantly, you tend to see the world similarly. And this is a key component of friendship. How many times have you talked to your buddies about some band that you like? Or the bands or the music that you both like? How many times have you talked about movies, endlessly talking about movies or books or whatever pop culture trivia, or maybe politics or whatever, and you agree? Generally speaking, there are little aspects of disagreement perhaps, but it makes the agreements that much more rich. In the sense that, like, for instance, you know, you're talking about, like, I don't know, you both like Van Halen. I like Van Halen. And you both like Van Halen, and your buddy says, oh yeah, you know, Diver Down was their best album. It was garbage. And you say, no, the best album was Fair Warning, which was the best album. And you argue good-naturedly about it. And you might wind up insulting each other and throwing shit at one another, but you don't really mean it. In fact, that kind of disagreement with a friend, where you basically agree, but there are these little trivial differences of opinion that binds you closer together. That's the point of those arguments. It's in order so that you and your friend can recognize that you both see the world in a similar fashion. If you both see the world similarly, then you're both going to have the same approach to the world, to life, to living life. And see, if your friend is a deadbeat, then slowly but surely you're going to become a deadbeat. You know, it might be like a sort of like a power play. You know, he's a deadbeat, but you're a hard worker. But if you have two deadbeat friends, pretty soon you're going to be a deadbeat. It's inevitable, because we inevitably try to adapt and conform to the expectations of the people around us, especially the people that we like the most. Not necessarily the ones that we love the most. I mean, we love our parents, we love our siblings, but the people that we like, that we think are cool, we want to be like them. And if we have what we consider cool friends who are just deadbeats, then even at an unconscious level, we're going to slowly become deadbeats. It's inevitable. But on the other hand, say that you become friends with, like, hardworking, nerdy type guys. Not that socially adroit perhaps, but they're hard workers, they get good grades, they do well in their professions, whatever. What'll happen is that if you hang out with those guys, you're naturally going to get up to their speed in that regard. And they in turn might be, socially maladroit, and you be very good at the dealing with people kind of thing. And they will start to change their attitudes and behavior to conform more to you. You'll both be getting something out of it. You see what I'm saying? But see, if they are hardworking, you will try to be hardworking. It will up your game because you won't want to be left behind. That's the key point. You never want to be left behind with your friends. You always want to be on a par with your friends. And you will naturally run to keep up with your friends in whatever direction they are running, be it a very, very good direction or a very, very bad direction. And that's why sometimes it's better not to have any friends than the bad sort of friends. And that's a hard thing to accept, a hard thing to live with, but it's the truth. Because sometimes, you wind up being with a group of friends that you like a lot. You really enjoy their company. You think that they're great, but they are losers and they will pull you down. And sometimes it's better to cut them off. It's a very uncomfortable and difficult decision, and a lot of men can't make it. A lot of men who realize that their friends are losers, who realize that their friends are pulling them down, they realize it on a conscious level, and yet they cannot break free of this trap of their friends, and they allow their friends to pull them down into drugs, pull them down into stupid crimes of one sort or another, pull them down into all sorts of idiocy, ruining their lives for nothing, just for the sake of getting in good with these friends. And the worst part, see, it's not only predictable, which it is, but it's natural. It's from evolution. See, we human beings are animals. Never forget that. We are not these angelic beings of light and energy. No, we're animals. And as animals, we evolved. And in the 3.5 million years of our existence as a species on this earth, we evolved to conform to our social group because our lives depended on our social group. In the past, I'm talking the ancient past, the prehistoric, before we were even properly humans, we would always conform to what our group was doing, the behaviors of our group, no matter how destructive they might have been, because we needed other people to survive. But today, in our technologically advanced civilization, we do not need other people to survive. The people that we know are friends. They are extras in our life, but they are not essential. See, I don't need my friends to go and hunt the woolly mastodon and eat. I don't need them. Do you know why? Because I earn good money and I go to the supermarket where I buy some food that has been anonymously prepared and left there, and I just give them my money and they give me food and I eat. In the past, that was not the case. In the past, we human beings needed our friends to survive. And because of it, we would conform to our group of friends. It was essential that we conform to them, because if we weren't conforming to them, conforming to the average that they created, if we weren't conforming and staying on their good side, they would cut us out insofar as food. They would cut us out insofar as hunting is concerned. We would starve, we would die. That's why it was so essential from an evolutionary perspective. But today, that's not the case. And because it's not the case, a lot of times we can get confused. We think that we are sort of like still living in the savannah, hunting the woolly mammoth or whatever, and don't realize that we don't need our friends. We don't. We need them to push us. We need them to elevate us. But we don't need them if they're pulling us down. Understand the trap of your friends. Understand that if you have a crap group of friends, they will pull you down. And therefore, you have to cut them loose and move on and find other friends, better friends. And you want to say that this is social climbing or some nonsense like that? Fine, I don't care. It's the truth. You want to have a successful life, don't you? I mean, you don't want to be some bum. You don't want to be some loser, right? So don't hang out with bums and losers, because they will turn you into a bum or a loser. Hang out with winners. Hang out with guys who have the balls and the drive to succeed. Because if you're not that motivated, perhaps, you hang out with that crowd of people, you make friends with those guys, and they will trap you just as well. But the difference is that the outcome will be good for you. And that's what you want. If you like this video, please check out my Patreon. Link is in the description below. I post an additional video on Patreon every week. And in point of fact, I have over 100 videos there that you'll find nowhere else. And in addition to the extra video every week, I do a weekly webinar, which is a call-in show that lasts between 2 and 3 hours, discussing different topics of interest. It's a call-in show, it's a lot of fun, it's every Sunday, so please check it out. Like I said, link is in the description below. Thank you so much, and I hope to catch you next time.